Hello everyone, Dan here. Today I'm going to show you one of my personal favorite routines called On the Offbeat. I hope you enjoy it. So to begin this little routine, I'll actually do a little cut and we're going to place a random card right there. We'll get back to that shortly. In addition, I'm going to have a spectator. I'm going to go across the cards. The spectator tells me when to stop whenever they like. So they say stop, let's say right here. They memorize the card. Hopefully you can see it as well. And we lose inside the pack. And actually we don't even need this pack, so we'll just actually set it aside very fairly. Now if this was your card, that'd be a pretty dang good trick. If it was. Or even matching. So check this out. Think of your card that you had peeked and saw. Check this out. I give it a wave and a flick. And now it's your card, believe it or not. I give it another wave and a flick, and it changes from your card to the Ace of Clubs. A little demonstration of real magic. Thank you. And the audience is going wild with this routine. And for those out there saying, but that's not my card, I can boldly say I never said it was. But let's say in the case that I was ever actually serious, what I do is I get the Ace of Clubs, I can give it a wave, and you could actually see it change from the Ace of Clubs to the Ace of Diamonds. Wow, that was actually quite similar. Lovely. Let's have some more fun. Let's shuffle up the cards and keep going from there. We're also going to need another spectator. A lovely miss on my right. I go, miss. Tell me when to stop. Tell me when to stop whenever you like as I go across, okay? And I will look away. I really do not want to see the card. So they do so. And they have this card. And I'm not going to look, but you guys, the audience, can peek it. Hopefully you see it. Yeah. Okay. And then I'll take it back in this case. So there, look at the card. I'm looking away. Just make sure it's not gimmicked on the front because that would be bad. You know, trick cards are terrible. Nor gimmicked on the back. That would be just as bad as well. Okay, that was really bad. Let's be a little bit better. I'm going to be a little bit more fair. And I'll be so fair about this, and I'll tell you how. I'm going to riffle through the cards, and I'm not going to use any breaks, nothing for the magicians. As I go across, the spectator can tell me when to stop whenever they like. They say stop right there. Do you want to change your mind, or do you like the mind you have? I ask them. And they say they like the mind they have, so it sounds good to me. So they peek the card, and they learn it, and they love it, and it's this one. Different card, yes. They respond, no, it's the same one. Oh. Yeah, that tends to happen sometimes. You know what, let's just toss it back in and really just forget about the whole card altogether. And I'll really, honestly give it a real shuffle to mix it on up inside the pack. Seriously, I want to actually give you a fair choice. I'm going to do it the old-fashioned way. They can take anyone they like out. They go in for it, and they take this one out amongst all the other display of cards in the pack. And I ask, finally a different card. Yes? Oh, no. Let's just go through with the trick anyway. We'll get this card. We'll lose it up inside the pack. And we'll give it a fair shuffle. Like so. We wouldn't want it to appear on bottom because that would be much too easy in the case it did happen. We are also going to shuffle to the cards up. And I don't want it to be on top either. Queen Diamonds wasn't your card, right? No. That was, yeah, it was original different one. Yeah, we want to be as fair as we possibly can. Because if it does happen to be your card, that wouldn't be that great of a trick this early on. You know? So we're going to lose the card inside here and give it one more fair shuffle. So it's not on top, nor on bottom. Good so far. But I'll actually show you one of my favorite ways to change a card. Hopefully it looks good. You can actually get the King of Spades just like before. We give it a wave, and now we can change it to your card. Hopefully we get this 7 of... Oh. I mean, your selection was the 7 of Spades. I was hoping for it actually this time. Did I get the 9 clubs? It's just like when you think you finally get it, you're just a long ways off, which kind of stinks for the whole thing. It's just funny, you know. Some days you get it, some days you don't. What can you do? Let's just go forward with it. I'm kind of feeling depressed now. I felt like I had it. I felt like I was so close with this whole thing. I'm wondering. You know what? Let's make up. Let's try one more effect, and I'll use a different audience member, third audience member, or it could be the first person. It doesn't really matter. I'm gonna go across the cards again, like so, or yeah, and it'll just be a basic card trick, just a basic one, because I need to restore my confidence in card magic. So they say stop. Let's say here, different than the first two cards, or at least different than the 7 of spades. They will agree. We're gonna toss it back, just like a basic card trick, and we'll lose it up inside the pack. And it's funny considering all the different choices that can go on inside the pack, you have your selection. And I want to make it a little bit different than everything else that's been here so far. So actually what I'm going to try, and I'm actually going to go to my back pocket for this. I actually had a couple cards in my back pocket that I actually wanted to use. I had cut 3 cards, and they're like predictions of what was to happen in this case, and they might seem familiar to you, like and I'm looking at all of them. The first one was a prediction of the Ace of Diamonds, the Ace of Diamonds selection at the very beginning of the trick. And then there was, well, this card was always hard to find, the 7 of Spades, a little callback to that card that was so troublesome. And then the final one, well, I don't know what this one is. Maybe it's pure selection. I'm not sure. Can you name it out loud? They do, and it is the lovely 2 of Hearts. My name is Dan, and I hope you have a wonderful one. Thank you. Hello everyone, Dan here, and today I'm doing something unheard of, at least in the magic community anyways, and I'm releasing my core material, my top 15 routines, which I guard the most, like, I protect them so heavily. Because the illusionist is lagging in accepting the routines, I just said, screw it. I'm going to just release the routines publicly. And so one by one, you're going to see all 15 routines pop up on Evolving Magic. These are my core routines in my current state, unless I improve them in any way if time goes on. But these are my babies I'm releasing. And I said, if I want to evolve in this world, I need to let go and move on. And at least that's what my epiphany came to. So let's get to this. Let's get to the release of all 15 of my babies. My Physimac might come out first in the videos, but today we'll be covering probably my favorite routine, which is on the Offbeat. So let's get into it. The cards are shuffled, and it can start from impromptu state. You can borrow the cards, it does not matter. Okay, we've seen the performance. I'll attach it to the beginning. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to have the cards shuffled, and then we're going to make a prediction. And they can be shuffled. I actually encourage it to be shuffled by a spectator. It makes it a lot easier. You don't shuffle them, let the spectator shuffle them. If they say, it's a marked deck, here, shuffle them. Would I really hand you a marked gaff deck to shuffle? Probably not, unless even I'm marked on there. But anyways, different story. So then we do a swing cut, as in the routine, and I set 1 card to the side. Okay? And this could also fit the context of coronavirus days, because nothing much will be done on the spectator's part. Okay? So I go across the cards, doing a peek style. So 1 random card set there. We don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. Spectator doesn't know what it is. And you'll see why it's important in a second. I go across the cards, doing a usual peek. And I ask spectators to tell me when to stop whenever you want. They say stop. And mind you, you're looking away. They say stop right here, and they got the card. Okay? Now normally Vector would, if it was a Vector style peek, it would let go 1 card and then drop. But then they see the second card and it just gets weird for me. So when I stop, so I get back to that point and they see this card, I just drop the whole thing. Okay? That's what I usually do. Now, I do not usually perform at a table, so this is weird for me because I'm always standing. in this position. So normally I would just wait to the side, let tension relax, because if you keep the tension here, spectators look and they call you out on it. So relax, you got it, remember it, otherwise this trick is entirely pointless, you can mention. And they relax themselves and they let go of any suspicion that you're doing something, including holding a break right below their card. When we come to, we can do a Marlowe move, which is using our third finger, we side jog the card. Hopefully you can see this. So from here, like a side steal, but not really. We side jog the card and then use our pinky, get a break above it. So push off and pull out. So if I was to go back, push out with third finger, pull down with the fourth. Now you got a break above it. Why is this important? Because now you can do a double undercut casually and have the selected card. I don't know what it is, but it's on top. Okay? So we got that. And we can set the deck aside because we want to remove the fact that we're touching it. You show your hands clean. I'm not even going to use the deck because it's really just a gag trick. It's an opening gag trick that's beautiful and was slowly weaved into it by spectators. They were encouraging the gag at the beginning. You want not so serious stuff before you get to the serious stuff or the magical, which is what spectators love. It's good theater. So we go right here. I said, if this card, we set aside since the very beginning, you have a card box on top of it, I don't really care. Your hands are clean. You want to touch the deck, you mentioned. If this card was your card, would that be a cool trick? And you could mention, yeah. You could do additional play by mentioning, but yeah, that would also suspect that I'm using a double, a duplicate, and play around with it. If it was matching, maybe it could be there, and then play around with the possibility. And then eventually when you go to reveal it, you do it this way. You pick it up. If I give it a wave and a flick, it changes to your card, believe it or not. And they react, oh my gosh. And then you continue the hype and gag by saying, if I give it another wave and a flick, and it actually changes, and you stress it, you have to stress it, from your card to, and you pause, and then you can show a random card, the Ten of Spades. And they react and they love it and they hate you. It's great. And then trick's over. You laugh and you relax, letting tension go and thinking that is the end of the effect. That's it. You built all this up just for this. If they question, that's not my card, I said I never said it was. Because I said I would change it from your card to blank. Theirs, mine could just be slow. Even though I said the statement quite steadily. Anyway, so we got that card, we relax, and then they think that's the end of the trick. Okay? You can now pick up the deck, put in your dominant hand, and then use the top card as a scoop, getting a double under with the selected card. Okay? And you said while you're still relaxing and you're not even looking at the deck, you can pick it up, the double, with the card you scooped the selection, which you scooped up to pick up the random card, and say that was cool. You're relaxed, so they're not putting heat on the card. They accept you and them accept that this is in the card. And then you mentioned, but if I was to be serious for a second, you can display it up here for a second so the audience can see it. And then when you do the wave, you can the twirl change might take on the twirl change, which is just going all the way down, flipping it, and then coming up in a wave. And then they can see their card visually change. When they come back to when they see this clear image you set them, they just scream WTF, which is quite hilarious. So from 10 to 5 spades. Set it down. You can do a whole flick, but they won't even check at that point, and they're just mind blown. Lovely. And so you got a nice little intro. You say, that was a nice little warm up. Cool. And you can set it back inside the pack. Trick is essentially over for the first part. So before we get to the second part of the trick, I wanted to get to the first part, which was remembering that the 5 of spades is the first selection. You have to remember 2 cards. You only have to remember 2 cards throughout this entire on the offbeat routine, but it's important that you remember 5 of spades. Because you saw it at the end, you have to heavily remember that. And the cards can be shuffled however you want, or by the spectator again. Creates fairness. And so I want to make it a little bit more different for part 2. Give me 1 second for a helicopter going by. Okay, so now we go to the spectator and we say, here, to another spectator number 2, I want to make it more interesting, okay? A little bit more interesting. Just make it a little more impossible, maybe. I'm going to go across the cards, and they just tell me when to stop, and they say stop right here, okay? And you can show them the card. If they don't want to touch it, I get it, coronavirus days. So they look at the card, Okay? And you can also mention, this is the important part, you mention I'm looking away. You want to make sure it's not gimmicked on the front because that would be bad and trick cards are terrible. Now they're on the back because that would also be bad. And then you're laughing because, ten of spades. Let's use a different one. Let's use a red contrast one. Okay, this selection, this is the second selection. So 5 of spades and now this card. Because you just stare at the card. You say, I'm so sorry, that was bad for me. That was bad. They laugh, you laugh, it's just a gag. And you say, okay, we'll be serious, okay? You can do whatever shuffle you want, and this time you shuffle the cards. Okay? And now you do the rollover force, and I'll do it face up, leave the selection face up so you can see it. You're forcing the top card, you go by, and they tell you when to stop whenever they want. Stop, okay? And you can ask if they want to go a little bit further, a little bit back, or right there. If they go back, so if they want to go forward, if they want to go back, or stop right there. If they want to go back, then you just say, I'll restart. If they say right there, then you're good. And if a little bit further, just go a little bit further. The other line, which I love, is don't stop. Okay, I'll hold it right here. Now, here's an important question. Do you want to change your mind, or do you like the mind you have? And then they start giggling if they actually think about it. So then you let everything fall above the break. Here's the rollover force move. You let everything fall above the break. Right here, it falls into your hands right here. It's like teeter-totter. Now this upper packet falls, and you flip it over into the recessive hand. And then you extend your hand forward as you show them their card. If it was face down, look like this. Or deal it off, and then you can show it to them. Essentially, you've casually, and with good misdirection, forced the top card on them. So, in actuality, it would look like this. Tell them to stop. Okay, right here, do you want to change your mind, or do you like the mind you have? And they say, I like the mind I have, and they start giggling. Sounds good. Okay, you do the rollover move, and then you force them the card. And it's already done. It's quite a cool move. And then as they take it, and I say, I always like to encourage a different card. It's a different card. Yes. And they go, no, and then they freak out, and you're like, no, and then I freak out and say, no, what? Huh? No. Oh. Hate it when that happens. And now what you do in this case is you get this card, and you shove it into the center of the pack. Okay? And then we keep a break above it. And then we can swing cut the pack a couple times, looking like we're giving a cut, which we are to the upper half, but keeping our break above the Jack Diamonds. And then we can also do an overhand shuffle, shuffling the upper half onto itself and then square everything up. So we still have that break. Nothing has really happened. Okay, so now we spread it off. Okay, I want you to take one out. I want you to feel it's fair, and I just keep on pausing the upper half before I do the move, and really take any one you like, and then you just keep on rolling on by. And eventually, when they're going forward to take it, you then force the card at below the break, which is right here, and I force that Jack of Diamonds. And if you nail it, it's not bad. It actually gets better, but it means you have to memorize 3 cards. The effect really does get better if you miss, and I'll explain what happens if you miss after, in the case you do. But let's assume you don't first, okay? Don't worry, I'll get to it. So in the case you hit it, you're like, oh God, they hit it again, and they're screaming Bloody Mary at that point. We put it inside, saying, let's just go with it, okay? Let's just go with the trick, and you can. And then what I always do is I always get show right here, and I do a spread call. I show it up here, okay? It's fair. There's no extras, okay? And as they're screaming, you can show them all the cards, and you see another one if you want. Nothing, and they're like just screaming like what's really happening right now. We then put the card right here to leave it sticking out, and then we come down as we push it inside, and we spread call it to the bottom of the pack. I'm doing it right now to flash so you can see what's going on. Okay? So it's on the bottom of the pack. We then give a casual overhand shuffle of the upper half of the pack, or most of the pack. You just want to retain this card on bottom. So, looks like in actuality. Okay? Sorry it happens. You know, there's no other Jack Diamonds. They don't see anything. Okay, you call it to the bottom of the deck. You give it an overhand shuffle, and you just shuffle off some cards. Okay, and we just mention it as we square up, we mention casually, and we don't want it on bottom because that would be too easy. They react and they start snorting, and it's just uncontrollable. Or just go, oh no, that would be terrible, and they're rolling their eyes already. You got immediately on the palm of your hands. Then we shuffle the cards. And what we're doing at this point is we're going to shuffle this card, Jack Diamonds, to the top. So we shuffle them on off. And we shuffle the cards from the bottom half to the top, singly, and then the last card to the top. So I'll do it in slow motion. You can shuffle off a bunch of them, and then the last couple cards are singles, and you got that Jack Diamonds to the top. And we just don't want to reveal on top because it's obvious. It looks obvious. But if you do a double lift and it's not there, then people react. So then we do a double. And we say, and your card's not on top either. Okay. Now 5 hearts? No? Okay. Because again, and now we're going my double lift technique. We would show it. As I've done in another video. You can look that up on my Evolving Magic channel. We show it. And say, yeah, that wouldn't be your card. And you would gesture with the card towards them. Doing the double lift pullback technique. Because, and then you take the card because that would be bad. And you show the card has changed again. So again, I'll just do it. So do a double, show it, not the 5 hearts. Okay, it'd be amazing if it was. Set right here. This action happens as you pull the lower card of the double onto the pack as you gesture. It's misdirected so you cannot even see it. Okay, it'd be amazing if it was your card. And you don't want that little click sound you just heard. You want to do it more casually. Okay? And then take off the top card. And then show Jack of Diamonds. It changed. Or you could casually show it. Because that would be bad. I wouldn't flash open like this. I would just casually flash because that would be bad. And then the audience looks over here casually for no reason. Or just because I put the heat there. Maybe you could stress heat there. Whatever. And then they start laughing hysterically. Or they may be pointed out if they're really good people. You never know. So now what we do is we get this card. And don't worry, I'm going to get to the alternative method if you miss in a second. Okay. So we show this card. And then we get 1 card above it. And then we push it inside. Push it inside. And then we just cut the do a triple cut. Making there be a random card, now Jack Diamonds, which is their selection, which is second from the top, and then random card. So just it's second from the top. That's all you really need to know. So then we deal off the top card, so it's not on top, not on bottom, aiding the situation, adding clarity, hopefully. And then we push off 2 cards, and we say, but if I can do it correctly, and I can push off the top single cards, we get a 2 card break below the king. So you get a break on this, below the 3rd card from the top. And so as we push off the top card, we can display it, showing a single. You want to make sure you do that, otherwise spectacles will say you have a double, which is understandable. Now we say I'm going to show you one of my favorite techniques, and we're going to do a twirl change, a snap change, or whatever you like. But it has to change this card for these 2. You could even do a Dan Dave one-handed snap change, which looks like this. Something like that. It's been a while since I've done it. Let me see if we can do it. There we go. Looks something like that. Okay, so there's that, whichever, but you could just do another twirl change if you want. Changing that card for the top card for the 9 of spades. And you mentioned it's your selection, right? And they go, no. Oh, it isn't? No, wait, what was it? It was Jack Diamonds, huh? And you go, yeah. You know what? Sometimes I get it. We do the same double lift technique we did earlier. Sometimes I get it. Sometimes I don't. But what can you do, right? And then you show this card. Okay? And then they're freaking out. They're clapping hysterically, and you're like, what? I failed. And then you can pretend to put this card away, but really just control it back to the top. Okay, that's if you nail the classic force. But what if you fail the classic force and they really are determined to select another card? Then technically, if you can remember 3 cards, the effect gets better. I'll explain. So let's say we go back. So I remember the first card that was selected was the 5 of spades. Okay, and then we don't have to worry about that for right now. And then the second card was selected was Jack Diamonds. We had our break on it. And no matter what we try, we have a heckler that just pushes on past what we want. The Jack Diamonds is right here. And they go past that, forcing it into that one. And even with your best spectator management, stuff happens. If there's a magician who does not prepare and expects this always to work, you are foolish, and I will call you out right now. You always want to have a backup plan, and that is why bar magicians are some of my favorite, if not the best magicians around. Okay, anyways, enough opinion time. Let's say they select a random card, the 10 of clubs, close to 10 of spades. Lovely. So, let's say they select this one, okay? And so now we have to remember 5 of spades, jack of diamonds, okay? We don't necessarily have to remember, actually, we don't even have to remember this card. We don't. But we just have to actually, we only have to remember 2 cards, because we're going to just be controlling this one the whole time, okay? So 5 of spades and jack of diamonds is what I remember earlier. Now we go through the whole same charade. We say, okay, this will be the card, and it's like, okay, now the trick's finally starting for them. And then you do the same gag, and we want to give it a little shuffle. Looks like you mix up the top. We want it to appear on bottom. Give it another little shuffle, controlling it to the top. You do a double. Let's say we want it to appear on top, because again, that would be way too easy if it did happen, you know? And you show this, they're reacting. I'll actually place it inside the center, and really, really do lose it inside the center. And I do a weird cut and shuffle, retaining that card second from the top. Just overviewing what we've already covered. Turn over the top card, it's not on top. I don't think it's on bottom, okay? And we got a 3-card break. Below 3 cards. Below? Yeah, below. Then we can do a wave change and say I can just wave it and change into your card the 6 of hearts. No? Oh, dang. I really thought I had it. Well, here's the thing. Some days you win, some days you don't. I'm sorry about that. And you act really sympathetic as you show them, like, they're flashing their selection to them and act like you don't know, and the audience is reacting, then clapping for you. I'm like, what? Why do I get credit? I don't know why I'm doing this. Then you riffle off and pretend to put this card inside, controlling it back to the top. So now we've got one selection down. We don't even know what it is. I still don't know what it is. Oh, it was 10 clubs, yeah. Well, I kind of forgot. You don't need to know the selection. Again, it turns I thought you need to remember 3 cards, but you only need to remember 2. So, 5 of spades, jack of diamonds. Now, for the last part of the trick, as I said, I'm wondering what happened. You know, I'm wondering what went wrong. And as I'm doing this, I'm actually culling the 5 of spades and the jack of diamonds casually. So jack of diamonds right here, and you can cull them into order if you want. It makes it a little bit easier. And then the what was it? The 5 of spades, 5 of spades, 5 of spades. I'm just casually doing it, going through, and you can take your time. The audience is just thinking the trick is over, and you're just playing around with them. And so if you want to, this makes it a little bit easier. So there is the 10 of clubs, which is the third selection. We're going to have a 4th one because we messed up, quote unquote, but it actually made the effect better because we messed up. The jack of diamonds will be culled right below it. And then the very first selection, which is the 5 of spades, will be culled below that. It'll make sense because when we're palming it out and revealing cards, this will come first, this will come second, this will come third, and the final selection doing a basic card trick will come last. Okay, so we got that in that order. We now say, I just want to do a basic card trick. Please just help me out. I'm going to go across, and someone will stop. And you act depressed because you're like, you messed up, but you really didn't. But the audience thinks you did, so there's this plot going on. And it's a lot of interplay. So they select a card, they see it, okay? And then we do a swing cut. We're going to control this last card on top. So now we got 1, 2, 3, all 4 selections now. Okay. If it was 3 cards, same thing, but now it's just with 3 cards selected. Okay, same thing. You guys get it. And then we just do a double undercut, something basic, some basic cuts. Again, you say you're doing basic, so you're just doing basic standard thing. And you say you could push up top 4 cards. I mean, it could have been a more basic card trick. You could find ways to do misdirection, where I could have had the card selected, but I just want to be a little bit better than that. You can mention. I don't remember what I did in the original presentation. But now we somehow got a in-jog or just a card break on the top 4 cards. You say, I did have a, and then you look to your side, like you think it's in this pocket, you're not sure. And then as you go to look at your other side, you go in and palm all 4 cards off the top of the pack. You can do a one-hand top bomb. I don't really care. I use misdirection quite heavily, so I don't need to worry about my technique or how good it is. And I'm calling out all those magicians who go crazy on technique. You move, monkeys! Anyways. We palm top 4 cards. We look over here, misdirected. You don't have to worry. There's no heat here. And I think it's over here. No. Toss the deck. So you palm all 4 cards right here. You toss the deck as you go to your pocket. You can use a card wallet, but it's just been too complicated for me. I've been using the God, what was it? The speed loader wallet, and I can't seem to get it. It's so risky for me, even with the loader, unless you have a loader. So I just gave up, and I said, you know what? I'm just going to shove them in my pocket and just deal with it. Cards are down. They're clean here. And you say, I got a couple cards right here. If it was with 3 cards, it's 3 cards you show off. And then people go, what? How is this working? And I would mention, well, here's the thing. You know, there were cards that were selected since the beginning. Like in the beginning, there was, what was it? You mentioned the first spectre, you had selected like the 5 spades. And that was this cool little trick, you know, a little gag, but it was fun. And you can recall it. It's like you're going back in time. It's a recall, a callback. Then there was the Jack of Diamonds. And I keep on getting selected, and I was trolling, and we got rid of it. But it was still a cool card, no less, which was amazing. Now it's the 10 club, which we did the last trick. And that was amazing. You show it to the audience before you deal it down so the audience can clarify. And he said, but there's one card I don't seem to understand. And this is the one I don't understand. What's your card that you had selected, miss, for the 4th spectator? And then you go, Queen of Hearts. And you go, yeah, that is the Queen of Hearts. And you go, thank you. You did a recall, everything came full circle. And it's like a 7-minute routine that just everyone loves. And that is my current thoughts on the Offbeat routine. It's a great gaggy little routine that has a big climax. Everyone seems to love it. Gets great reactions. Magicians are just like, but they don't know the reactions by play you could have with spectators on this because it's just great gags all the way through. I hope you enjoy this. And yeah, just let me know what you think. And I hope you enjoy it. Practice it and love it. My name is Dan, and hope to talk to you soon.